Okay, guys, so welcome, guys, to the next another session on cloud performance engineering and DevOps, and we have started our AWS journey, right? And as per the yesterday discussion, most of you have already confirmed that you were able to create the AWS account and could log in as a root user, right? That's the first step in your AWS journey, right? If anyone uh, has not done that, please do it, right? Because that's a mandatory thing that you should do, and because that's where you will do the hands-on, right? So I'm expecting everyone to have the AWS account created and log in as a root user, right? I will talk about that. How do you log in as the IAM user? There is a root user, and there is something called IAM user as well. Once I talk about what is IAM and how do we create such a user, I will also show you how do we log in as the IAM user, right? Good. So moving on. So as per the last discussion, just to remind, just as a revision, right? Uh, can anyone give an example of what do we mean by infrastructure service? What type of, like in AWS, what service do we have where I can fit this infrastructure service example? Can anyone answer that? Would like to answer that? There are three service models, right, that we talked about. We have infrastructure service, platform as service, and software service. And I gave some example, right, remember? And while talking about, right,
EC2.
right, yes. Someone was saying EC2, yeah, someone mentioned EC2.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, Risha. Good to know. Yes. So EC2 is one of the example of a infrastructure service where we get the control, or we means the user get the control over the operating system, databases, data, and we can secure our account, right, of data, AWS account in general, and then on top of that we can deploy our application, right? Coming to the platform as service, what service I gave the example for anyone would like to answer that? Platform as service.
Beanstalk.
Beanstalk, perfect. Yes. So Beanstalk is one of the example of the platform as service where AWS provides a platform. That's why platform as a service, right? Because AWS provides the platform and the runtime environment, and if we have just the code with us and we have just the data with us, we can simply go use that service and deploy our code, and our application would be up and running, right? That's how easy it is, and that's the functionality of the platform as service, because most of the customer, the requirement could be of a platform as service as well, right? Because they don't want to manage all these things, all these hassles. They just focus on the code part, and they expect all those infrastructure, or the platform rather, to be provided by the AWS, right? So that's the platform as service. Coming to the software service, like there are many examples of software service in our day-to-day life that we use. Can anyone would like to help me with uh, platform software service? Salesforce, perfect. Sonal, absolutely right. So Gmail, absolutely, Rajendra. Yes. So those are the examples of software service, because we don't have the control over anything, right? We don't know what is the code base look like, what runtime they're using, what compute size they're using for the server, what operating system they're using for the server, how data is protected. Like they have the control over each and everything, right? And as a customer, I'm gonna ask software service, right? So currently those things are not charged, like Gmail, YouTube, Facebook, they have kept for free because they have some other business interest, like they have other source of income. They run ads and they get a lot of user base, and they have other business ideas to for the revenue generation, but they can start charging one day, right? So they are giving us for free right now. Like even YouTube is premium also. There are some one subscription comes with a premium, right, where you can remove the ads, right? Those kind of a thing, right? So like those are called software service. Like all the components which are listed is being managed by the cloud service provider. As a user, you are just a user. right? That's the software service, right? That's the service models, three service models that we have, right? Coming to the deployment model, so we also have something called deployment model. One is service model, and another thing is called deployment model. So deployment model, again, we have four kinds of deployment model. We have public cloud, we have private cloud, we have community cloud, and we have hybrid cloud. Again, it's just the definition part. It all depends on who all can leverage the cloud service provider, right? So in the public cloud, right, AWS, Azure, GCP, we call it private cloud because if they have a data center, right? Let's say if they have a data center, anyone can go and leverage the server, right? Even you can also go, even I can also go, right? Anyone, right? Anyone can go. Madhuri, I gave the example of platform as service, Beanstalk. I think yesterday you attended the session, Madhuri? No? Okay, I missed to see that question. Let me just,
Yes.
okay, you missed that session. Yeah, it's recommended not to miss the session. If you're missing the session, you're supposed to go over the recording. That is what I would expect, right?
Okay.
Right. So just to remind, since we are at the beginning, so I can repeat that. So platform as a service, right? When I talk about the platform as a service, I basically mean that entire platform to be given to me, right? And as a user, I get to just deploy my code. I have the code with me, right? And I'm expecting someone to provide me platform where I can deploy my code and I can have my application up and running, all the workload to be provided by the cloud service provider. And coming to the definition part of it, right? So in the platform as a service, the user, it all depends on what control you have, what level of control you have. In the infrastructure service, you get a lot of control: operating system, databases, security, and applications, right? You have a lot of control over these components. But in the platform as a service, you get the control over the application because you are just focusing on the code, right? Deploying your code, working your writing code, right? And you're expecting everything, all the other components to be managed by the cloud service provider, right? So the one of the example which I mentioned yesterday is Beanstalk. In AWS only there's a service called Beanstalk, right? And if you go to Beanstalk, they provide this platform as a service where uh, the user has the all the platform. They provide user the platform, and as a user, I can deploy my code. Right, that's what they provide. So Beanstalk would be the example of platform as a service because if I just show you the create application, and if I just write in, let's say app one, whatever, any name, I can choose the platform. I'm not installing these things. Let's see if I have a Java code, right, or a Python code, right? I can just ask for the runtime environment. I'm asking for it. That I have a Python code. Please provide me Python runtime, right? And I have just a code. I will upload the code. If I have the code in my locally, I can upload the code. If I have a code in S3 bucket, right, I can upload from the S3 bucket. If I have a local, I can select the code, but whatever, like I can select the code and I can just upload it. And they would provision, they would spin up the platform, they will spin up all the EC2 instances, they will spin up all the load balancers, auto scaling, they would spin up everything, they would configure security group, they would configure everything. As a user, I'm not doing all those things, right? As a user, what I did, I just uploaded my code, right? So that's the platform as a service, right? Right. So that's about the Beanstalk is the example, right? And then we have a software service where everything, all the components will be managed by the cloud service provider, right? As a user, I'm going to just use it like your Gmail, your Facebook, your YouTube, your Google Slides, whatever you see, where you don't have the control over anything. You don't know what operating system they're using, what databases they're using, what security they have done, what code they have written. You don't have the control over anything, right? That's a software service. Okay, I think that helps, Madhuri.
Yes, Roshan.
Sure.
Thank you.
any application of your wants to run on any server. What is that, Rajendra? I could not get that. Did you ask a question, or what is that? Can you repeat that, Rajendra? Okay, Rajendra, if I could not understand your comment, so yeah. Okay, let's proceed. So we have this.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
sir, I mean to say, as a platform as a service,
Right.
what I understand is that if you have your own application, such as an ERP software or any application where you want to uh, get logged of all the details to be run in one application, and that has to be run on of the server. That could be an example of a PaaS service.
No, you're not getting it. In the platform as service, I am dependent on, I am asking these components to be provided by the cloud service provider, managed by the cloud service provider, right? And I'm going to
Okay,
simply
sir.
deploy my code. So let's say on the ERP, any application, right? Do you do that way? Or you develop the code? Or like, what do? You have the control over the application, these components, or no? Like, I'm just asking. Because
Uh,
depends on you are the user or you are the developer. It all depends on that. So the context would change
okay.
if,
Okay.
right?
Okay, sir.
So
Okay, sir.
you are able to understand this, Rajendra?
Yeah, you mean to say that we'll be having control on the database, the security, the
you will
servers, the
not have
storage.
you will not have the control. The cloud service provider will manage that for you.
Yeah, yeah. The cloud service provider will be having the control over that. Okay.
You just
Ah,
have the control over your
code. Okay.
code, and you're gonna deploy the code, and they would give you the necessary infrastructure, the platform, basically, not the infrastructure, platform to run your code, right? That would be
Okay.
the example of platform as a service.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right.
Uh, Roshan,
Yes.
yeah, one question here. So, like all the services are provided by the cloud and only application we have to give, right, in PaaS.
See, not we have to give.
So,
No. See, the approach is different. I want to use that way. See, there is a two things, right? I want, as a customer, I have the option to select that. I would prefer. I have three options with me. As a customer, I have a business idea. And let's say I'm the owner of Flipkart. I'm just imagine I have this Flipkart idea, or a Flipkart, something like application. So I have three options, right? Where should I deploy my Flipkart code, right? Where should I run this code? I can go for infrastructure service, I can go for platform as service, or I can use someone else to develop that for me, right? So this is not likely, right? Not anyone would invest uh, in my application, right? So software service, right? That it's like a giving a third consultancy work to some third party company, right? So that then only they would develop that, right? So I have to select it as a user. I'll be selecting whether I should go with infrastructure service because I get the more control over here, or no, I think it's too much of hassles for me. I just want to run my code. I have a code. I want to run my code, and I'm expecting cloud service provider to give me all the required components, right? Necessary platform, and I'm going to simply run my code and have my application up and running. So, not so it's you who will decide what do you want, how do you want to use cloud service provider. No, your question, please.
uh, yeah, in that case, uh, how how it will know like what is my requirement? Like I want this much CPU, this much RAM. We can specify that in PaaS model.
You have the option as well. Yeah, you do have. See, it is not like you don't have the control over it. You have the, when you spin up, right? When you spin up, I'm going to show you when I will spin up Beanstalk. You can see all the EC2 instances, load balancer, auto scaling group, security group, everything, all the, because they have spin up this infrastructure for you, right?
Yes,
They give you
yes.
the control over that as well. They spin up for you, but now you can configure it as per your requirement.
Okay.
I think some background noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have the control over Madhuri. Yeah. Need not worry about that. But it is optional,
Yeah.
right? You want the control or not because they have spent all those infrastructure for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you use it or how much you want. See, because they would not know whether 500 users going to log in or
Right.
only
Right.
10 users are going to
Yes.
log in or 5,000 users going to log in. They would not know. They would not even guess, right? So you have to configure it because when they're spinning up your application, they would have used some auto scaling group, some load balancer, number of servers, right? So
Right.
that time
Right.
you can configure those things. You have the options to edit.
Yes.
I will show you Beanstalk when I will cover that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Thanks.
Sure. Any other question, guys? Okay. So this is the service model, right? And then we have something called deployment model. So deployment model depends on who is how many like who all are using who all can leverage the cloud service provider. Let's say I am AWS, right? So AWS has data centers basically, right? So even you guys, even I can select Mumbai data center. I can have some servers there. Let's say this is the Mumbai data center. Even I can have some leverage some servers. Even anyone, third person, second person, anyone can go to Mumbai data center and can leverage the servers, right? So those are the public cloud where it is open for the public, right? Anyone can come and leverage the server, right? There is no private concept here. Private means you own the complete data center itself. You have to purchase that, right? Why anyone would go like that? It depends on the data security, right? Like or the security. I think I have the application which needs to be much more secure because I don't know who all are going to leverage those servers and that there could be a threat, right? Or any company policies which is stopping me to go public, right? So obviously it's going to be the cheaper way of leveraging cloud service provider, public cloud. Private cloud, you will have to own the complete data center because you are the only one who are going to use the servers, leverage the server, storage services, whatever. In that data center, no one else is going to use the server or storage services or any services that a cloud service provider. There are players in the market, right? There are public cloud. We know about public cloud service providers. AWS, Azure, GCP. These are public cloud service providers, right? There are private cloud service providers as well in the market, right? You have HP, IBM. They provide. There are some other companies. I can just a lot of companies you can find it, right? You can they are the private cloud service provider. If you just look for private cloud service provider, you can get a plenty of list who all provides the see the Oracle, IBM, or the company like Oracle company or IBM. They set up their own data center, right? In those data center no one else can leverage the servers apart from their own company website or own company application, right? So these are called private cloud. So only thing who all can leverage the servers, right? That will define whether I'm using a private cloud or a public cloud. On the infrastructure part, it doesn't make any difference. The only thing is that they are the only ones using that particular data center, right? Those kind of a thing. Just keep it simple, right? So those are called private cloud service provider. The list is plenty. You can just look into this list. We have HPE, VMware, Dell, Oracle, IBM, Red Hat, Microsoft, Cisco, NetApp, even AWS, the Amazon.com, this website they use, even they use in a particular data center where they don't allow others to leverage the servers, right? So they own the complete data center itself, so they can do it, right? So it all depends. So uh, right. So that is the private cloud. Then you have something called community cloud, right? So what do we mean by community cloud, right? So community cloud are the like let's say I have like all the banking or the investment banking firms, right? Let's say JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Barclays, right? All those investment banking firms, they formed a group and they decided, because they share the same business agenda, right? They have the same interest, right, of the data protection and those things. So what they decided, they purchased one data center completely, right, or few data centers, and they are the only ones who gonna use the leverage the servers in that particular data center, right? So those are called community cloud, right? So it is just the naming convention. I'm just talking about just definition part. From the infrastructure point of view, it doesn't make any difference, right? Doesn't make any difference. So it only depends on who all can leverage the servers. This is what defines the deployment model, right? That's about the community cloud. And then we have something called hybrid cloud. If I have on-premise setup as well and as well cloud, if I have both the setup, right, or I have mostly this. So on-premise along with cloud service provider, I have a workload running in on-premise as well as I have workload running in my on-premise as well as in cloud, right? So that comes under hybrid cloud, right? So that's the definition of a hybrid cloud on the deployment model. And you can leverage everything everywhere in the infrastructure service. You can uh, uh, go for any of, you can use any deployment models, platform as service, you can deploy any model, right? On the SaaS, you can use any deployment model. Anything is possible everywhere, right? So this is missing. So yeah, that is there. So everything can you can use it. Yeah. Any question on this part? Are we clear on that part? This, so it all depends on the deployment model is defined according to where the infrastructure of the environment is located, right? And who all are sharing with me, right? It all depends on that. And who is sharing along with me, right? One very important line. So that will decide the deployment model's definition. I take the silence that we're all good here. Okay, let's proceed. So yeah, that about some few definitions part, right? So coming to the cloud service provider, these are the three major primary the leaders in their space in the cloud service provider: AWS, Azure, and GCP, right? Uh, all are popular, all are doing good, right? All are in competition, right? All are competing with each other, right? So AWS has the largest market share. Right? They were started quite ahead in the game. They started in 2008, 7, 8, right? And Azure comes after 4 to 5 hours, 4 to 5 years later. Azure and GCP came. They are a bit behind in the game, but Azure has the AWS has the largest market capture, followed by Azure and GCP. Right? It's not like they are not doing good. They're doing great as well. Azure and GCP. Right? Their cloud service providers are uh, solutions is good, right? So, but AWS, if you like to say, if you look for 100 companies, top 100 companies, those who are using cloud service provider, you gonna most likely see observe that 40 to 50 companies out of 100 are going to use AWS. They have deployed the solution in AWS, right? And another 20 to 30 companies they're using Azure, and the rest the company using GCP, right? So you can just imagine like that. So that's what the distribution is, and most popular is AWS. So yeah, it's good to learn all, but to get started, it's always the way to learn is to you start with one cloud service for you start with one, learning one, and you can easily ramp up on the other cloud service provider. Even I did the same thing. I work with all the three, uh, but started with AWS primarily, and then it's quite easy to ramp up because you get a similar service. Because since if you have EC2, if you need the servers, you have EC2 in AWS, and so similarly you have like virtual machines, you have compute in GCP. Like just the UI would change, the management console UI would change, the name would change, right? The UI, the look and feel would change, but at the end, the core functionality remains the same, because I'm going to use cloud. Why will I use cloud? Because I need the servers, right? I need storage services, I need database services, right? I need security, right? I need to create users, I need to create IAM, right? I need like notification service, right? So I need these services, right? In general, right? So that's why the approach you're gonna see, if it's not like the difference is not huge, but the look and feel, the UI would change. That's what the difference is. The best way going forward is to start with one, learn one good in a good way, and then you can ramp up easily on other cloud service provider. That's how we go about learning this. Right? Any questions on this slide? Anyway, I have shared one link with you, I think, right? I did share a link with you, Cloud Compare, cloudcompare.in, right? If you have this link with you, I hope I must have shared that. If not, just type comparecloud.in and you can see, right? Why three? You need to learn all six, right? So let's all six or seven. All there are so many cloud service provider, right? So like EC2, like for example, virtual server. Today you need virtual server. So in AWS you call it EC2. In Azure you call it virtual machine. In GCP you call it compute engine. If you need storage, right? Search for S3. S3 we use. This is the term we use in AWS. S3 is object storage, right? Uh, Same thing, Azure calls it blob storage, blob, right? Blob storage. Uh, uh, the GCP calls it cloud storage, but the core functionality is the same, right? They're gonna use for the storage something, object storage, right? That's what they're gonna use. If you need disk, like with compute, with with virtual machine, you need disk, right? Even your laptop has a disk, right? So with compute, with virtual machine, you need disk, right? So uh, in AWS you call it EBS, right? In Azure you call it managed disk, right? Or blob premium storage. In GCP you same thing, call it for persistent disk, right? So very much similar, all cloud service providers, right? The UI would change, the look and feel would change. Yeah, you can definitely use this link, comparecloud.in, right? I'll keep on sharing these useful links with you, right, time to time. I've just shared that with you. You can bookmark this, quite useful. Right? So that's about that. Any question on this? Anyone? Okay. I take the silent, that will be good. Okay, so coming, these are some old report, right? So 2020. Right? You can also check the latest report. You would find a similar kind of a trend, right? 40 to 50% of the market being captured by your AWS, right? Followed by your Azure 20%, and then followed by your GCP around 10 to 15%. Right? So that's how the market share would look like. The market capture would look like. They're all doing good. The cloud business is going to increase only, right? Because not everyone can afford setting up data centers, right? Going to increase. The competition is going to increase, right? Today we have three players. There could be more players, but competition is between these three mostly, right? Right. So that's the high time to get started on cloud, because most of the solutions companies, the startups or any, if the companies they're established also, right? They, if they have on-premise also, they don't think of setting up one more on-premise, on one more data center. What they're using, they can use somehow use cloud as a disaster recovery, or run some workload data. Let's have data in on-premise, run some web server, application server, have those servers in the cloud, right? So they both, everyone understands setting up a data center is not that easy, right? So cloud business is going to increase day by day, right? And the security they offer, and it's scalable, right? And because you don't have to invest anything. Today you need 20 servers, tomorrow you need 40 servers, day after tomorrow you need 15 servers. It all, you can just do auto scaling, configure auto scaling, billing would take care automatically, right? That's how it is easy it is. But in on-premise it doesn't make any sense auto scaling, because you have purchased everything. You have already purchased everything. Whether you use 2 servers or four servers doesn't make any sense because you already own the server. So that makes sense. Auto scaling and those things, it makes sense more in cloud, right? The business is going to increase only. Leaders, as per the famous Gartner report, they are leaders: AWS, Microsoft, Azure, and GCP. AWS leads is the leader for in the leaders space. They are the leaders, right? And that's why we are targeting AWS, because if you know AWS, even if let's say company is not deployed in AWS, let's say that in the interview you can mention that you know AWS well, and you can easily be ramped up on Azure. And the interviewer will also understand, yes, if this guy knows one cloud service provider, it's easy for that particular person to ramp up on other, right? So that's how it goes. Yeah. So coming to the cloud now, I'll be starting on AWS from now. Till now, I was just focusing on the cloud in general. You guys have any question? Until now, I'll be mostly talking about everything, right? AWS, Azure, and GCP. From now onwards, I'll be mostly talking about AWS. Before I get started on that, do you have any questions on anything in general which anyone wants to ask in general about anything?
Yeah, I have a doubt. It is regarding the packaging and deployment, the development from virtual servers to containers.
Okay.
So, what exactly are we benefiting by using containers?
Containers, okay, that's a different topic. Okay, I have a separate dedicated section on that container engine, but anyway, I'm going to take up that question. See, you know the virtualization, right, Trisha? Why do we do
Yeah,
virtualization? The main goal of virtualization, can you just repeat that for me? Can you?
yeah, resource utilization.
Resource utilization, right? So we
Mm.
want to do efficient resource utilization. We don't want any wastage to happen, right? So what happens that in a VM also, right? When you run a workload, let's say application, let's say you have a three servers, three-tier application. Your web server, let's say you have an app server, let's say you have a database server. Let's say that three-tier application, three servers. So it is most likely what happens that not all these servers are fully utilized. This is what the understanding is, right? This is what the not all the servers are fully utilized to their maximum fully potential. Mostly it is the general study that these are servers are like 30 to 40% utilized. That's all. That is
Yep.
the general study tells you, right? So the again goal is to efficiently utilize the resource, right? So why there is no need for us to have a server underutilized, right? So that is in the same interest. The goal is same, efficient utilization of the resource, right? And with the occurrence of the microservices, because when we're talking about three-tier application, where let's say this is the application server, right? Say all the business code, business logic resides here, right? And we are talking about these kind of servers mostly in the case of monolithic application, where my all the business logic, everything in packaged as one jar file or a war file, and you deploy as a single unit. This application server can have 10 modules of my application or 15 modules, right? I'm packaging them as a one single unit, right? And all my code resides on one application server, right? Mostly that's where we use VM. That's how we use VM. I'm not sure if you are mostly working on this kind of a setup, right? But the world is going
Yeah.
towards, okay, yeah, yes. So yeah, that's about the VM setup. But the world is developing microservices now. The IT industry is developing microservices more because we have understood that it is easy. See, why microservices? Why not monolithic? You can ask this question again. Microservices offers a much more flexibility or reliability, I would say. It is, see, when you deploy the entire code as a single unit, let's say the problem with one of the module can impact the entire application availability. The entire application could go down because of one function. Let's say one function is not working properly, the entire function could go down. what if I say you, let's say I'm just giving one example. Let's say you have a Swiggy application or Ola, Uber application that you use, right? Which to order your food, to book your cab. What if I tell you, if a notification is not working, notification is one of the function, right? Module. If a notification is not working, you cannot order your food, you cannot book a cab. It doesn't make any sense, right? Because my core functionality should suffer, right? If one module is not working, that notification, once I book a cab or once I order a food, I get a notification that it has been ordered, right? If that particular if that particular business the module is not working, why my core functionality should not work? It doesn't make any sense, right? You're able to still book a cab or order your food because they are based on microservices, because you are splitting these 10 modules, whatever you have used 10 modules, you have split these 10 modules into 10 microservices. Let's say this business, your business layer has the code, right? Let's say in this application you have 10 modules. Let's say one has the login functionality, or let's say different functionality, finance, okay, some different functionality. Let's say I have a book. I take one of the example of a bookstore application. Let's say that.
Yeah, this is clear, Roshan, like why we moved from monolithic to microservices. But I was trying to understand why from virtual servers to containers.
I'm coming there. So that in this discussion goes in line. So the microservices, since it is a subset of the bigger application, right? You cannot have one microservice for one VM. It is a waste of resources. Because if you have understood that microservices are better, then as per your idea, one microservice should go to one VM, correct? As per your understanding, correct?
Yeah.
It's gonna again waste a lot of resources, because you don't need that much of resource for one VM, right? For one microservices. That's where the microservices are deployed in containers. You would never see a microservices being deployed directly on a VM. That's where the microservices are being deployed in a container. That's how it is, right? And that's where we create microservices, different microservices, and we create containers and we deploy them, right? And when this particular server, one server is fully utilized, then only we spin up another VM.
Okay.
It is not like we are giving less resource. No, I'm making sure that when this VM is fully utilized and still I need more microservices to support more load, I'm spinning up another VM to create more microservices. That is called, we will talk about in Kubernetes chapter, horizontal pod autoscaler and clustered autoscaler. We call containers as the pods, right? How pods would auto scale, and when pods are auto scaling, when we need the more servers, VMs, that also needs to be there. That for that we need cluster auto scaler. So I would spin up first VM, and then I will create containers in that. So the idea is same. So the idea is same. Efficient utilization of the resource. That is the main goal. Main to cost saving. Cost saving is the main factor we are doing this. And obviously, since we have microservices, it offers a lot of flexibility on the business side. It makes sure highly available, highly reliable solution. One microservices is down, you have the other same microservices, other replicas are there for the same microservices. So that will fulfill. If in the Kubernetes we mention, let's say we have a microservice, let's say that, okay, one microservice, let's say this microservice name is A. I can mention in Kubernetes that always have 5 replicas of these microservices A. Always have 5 replicas, means always have 5 containers, always have 5 replicas of this microservices A. For any region, if this is one of the microservices is not working, my replica set as part of the Kubernetes will make sure that I always have 5 replicas up and running all the time. Let's say this microservice has run out of memory, or let's say any issue, it is getting restarted again and again, it got killed. But it is not like I will have only 4 microservices. No, that is where I use Kubernetes, because it will maintain a stable number of replica pods always all the time. So that is what the benefit of Kubernetes. When we talk about containers, pods, that's where Kubernetes is that helpful, and that's how Google have been managing the user workload from last 15 years. How many times you have seen user application Google website going down, or they are not performing well, though they have so many users logging in and working on the application. It's most of the credit goes to their own product. Kubernetes is from Google. So I hope you understood this, why we are doing
Yeah,
this. Right?
clear. Thank you, Roshan. Yeah.
Anyone else has any question before we start the AWS journey? Okay, perfect, guys. So looks good. I take this side that we are good. Okay, so coming to AWS, guys. So that's something about the history of AWS. Initially, AWS, how it was launched, right? Jeff Bezos, right? We all know him. So he was developing one. He was trying to build up an infrastructure for a website called Amazon.com that we all know popularly, right? Amazon.com. So he was trying to create an infrastructure for this website, retail website that we have, Amazon.com, and he figured out that he was able to set that up, right? The infrastructure, he was setting up this data center for this website, Amazon.com, and he was able to do that data center, create the data center and provision all the servers, storage services, everything, right? Network and all, everything. He was able to do that, but he realized that this can be leveraged, the same thing which he is doing, he was able to do, accomplish for this website Amazon.com. Same thing he can leverage this to entire world. He got this idea of AWS back in 2007, 2006. He got this idea, and the first three services and he launched was these three: SQS, S3, and EC2. Those are the first three services. We still have these services, right? Popularly known as these services in AWS. Right? We have these services: SQS, right? And we have SQS Simple Queue Service. We have S3, which we popularly known as Object Storage Simple Storage Service, and your EC2 to get the servers, right? These three services were the primary services that was launched that time at 2006. EC2 for the servers, S3 for the storage, SQS for the queue service, simple queue service, right? Uh, so 2007 it was launched in Europe, and currently, like all the popular company at Dropbox, the way Dropbox uses S3 only to store data, right? You use as Dropbox, guys. So Dropbox doesn't have their own data center; they use S3. The entire Netflix that you watch, the entire content is hosted in S3. NASA uses AWS services. Airbnb uses AWS services. A lot of giants are using AWS, right? So that's about the small, brief history about AWS, how it was launched, right? Coming to so we all have the AWS account created. I do see there are 9 folks joined. Guys, I would like to ask this again. How many of you have got this account created? I have asked 4 of you in the beginning, but I've not checked with them. Can you guys confirm that everyone has the account created? Yes? That's the very mandatory step. If you do not have, please get this account created. It is a mandatory thing. That's where you will practice. I'm gonna show you things. And you're gonna watch me do things, and then you're supposed to practice the same thing later, right? So that's how it will work out. If you do not have, if you just watch me do, you'll forget things. Trust me, you'll forget things in 10 days. So you have to practice this. That's when you will take most out of the session, right? So have this account with you, a free tier. AWS offer a free tier account for the new, like if you're joining AWS for the first time, account created for the first time, they would offer the free tier, and 12 months it is free, or they call it 750 hours of compute time. 750 hours, right? If you look at AWS free tier, what all they offer in AWS free tier. You can just have a look once. So a lot of things are free for 1 year. It's okay. So you'll not get billed, and I'll make sure that you don't get billed. You'll have proper alerts set up, right? So get notification, right? So 12 months, so 750 hours of EC2 instance, T2.micro or T3.micro. If you use it, 750 hours is free. In S3, 5 GB of storage is free. In RDS, 750 hours of RDS relational database, you can use it. DynamoDB, we have a NoSQL database, you can use it. The machine learning SageMaker, that 2 months is free. Lambda, 1 million requests are free. A lot of Redshift is again one. Data warehouse is free. SNS, simple notification service, 1 million publishers are free. A lot of free things are there. Okay, so let's focus. So a lot of things are there. So they want you to learn AWS because they want people to be aware most of the AWS, because once you learn AWS, you're gonna promote AWS, right? So they have given, every cloud service provider does that. Either you go for Azure or GCP, AWS also does that, right? So a lot of free things are there, free tier. So I'm gonna also keep I'm gonna also make sure you don't get billed, right? So we'll create a notification and alerts, billing alerts. We'll talk about that. Right? So get the account created, guys. Okay. Okay, so to get started, right? So once you, so I'm gonna just log in. Okay, first time when you log in, I want you to log in as a root user, right? The first time when you get the account, you always log in as a root user. So to log in as a root user, what you do, you sign into the console, right? And you select this root user. I'm logging as the IAM user. I will show you how do I create this user and IAM username. I'll talk about it. But I'm gonna select login as the root user. Root user is the ultimate owner. You are the owner of this account. Okay, you're the owner of the account, right? So let me just check the credentials. I hardly use root user. Okay, I found it. Okay, so let me just provide this. So this is my email address, and password I'm gonna use is mostly this. Right. I have also set up a MFA code. You guys have not have set up. I'm gonna show you how do you set up this MFA code, multi-factor authentication, where I just want my root user to be secure, right? And that's where this MFA, right? I'm gonna tell you how to enable this MFA. Meanwhile, please download this application in your mobile phone, Google Authenticator. You can install this one of the application either using Android or iOS, doesn't matter. You can go to the respective marketplace and install this Google Authenticator. Okay, this application. I'm gonna tell you how did I configure MFA. You can follow along the same thing. You can just right now you can just click on the install. Get it installed. I'm gonna just read my code right now. Let me log in first, and then I will talk about it. Okay, so I just logged in, guys. So this is my root user. So the way it looks is this. See, I don't have any. I'm logged in as the root user, and this is how it looks. Root user, right? And to just have the MFA, because the root user is very much secure, right? You don't want anyone to like mess with your account, right? You don't. So always this root user has to be secure. So the first thing you do is that you set up a multi-factor authentication for your root user account. And the way you do it is through, you can go to the security credential, you can click on this guy, and you can click on the security credentials at the last option you have, right? And you will get one security credentials screen, right? You get this, which is the part of basically IAM. I'll talk about it, but you just click on that, and you can click on this multi-factor authentication, MFA. Click on this. Currently, I have it, so you may not able to see that, but I'm going to let me delete it. Okay, I'm going to just remove it so that it looks exactly like your account. So I've deleted the MFA, guys. Like now, you should have a similar thing, right? The way which I'm showing you right now. You can activate the MFA, right? To activate the MFA, you need a virtual MFA device. So make sure that you don't lose this phone. It will be a problem log into your root user. So whichever phone you have used to install this Google Authenticator. So you have the three options. You get virtual MFA device, security key, like UB key. Your company provides that UB key, right? Or other hardware MFA device, you can use it, right? I'm going to use virtual MFA device. If you just click on this link, right, it will open something, and not just Google Authenticator. You have multiple options. You can use any one of these applications: Authy, Duo Mobile, LastPass Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, one of them which I asked you to do, Symantec VIP. You can install any one of this in the virtual MFA application. You have other devices as well for the multi-factor authentication, right? So I'm going to use Google Authenticator, right? So you can come here, click on this virtual MFA device, click on continue, right? Uh, you need to open the Google Authenticator app in your mobile, right? Supposed to do that. Right. And you're supposed to click on the plus symbol, right? Scan a QR code. I am seeing one of the option in my mobile, scan a QR code. And I'm clicking on the show QR code here. I'm going to scan the QR code for my mobile. I'm scanning it. So I just scanned it and I got a password. Okay, in my mobile, I'm typing that password uh, exactly, and I'm waiting for the another password to come. So once this password vanishes, I'll get another password which I have to put as the MFA code 2 to register it, right? So I've got the another password as well. I'm going to type it 931, and I can click on assign MFA, right? So that's how I assign MFA for the root user. That's how simple it is, right? Were you guys able to do that, or you will do it later? It's a simple process. Done. Sonal is done perfectly. Good. It was a simple
Doing.
process. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, simple thing, right? So this is how you can like now whenever you log in as the root user, you will get that same MFA code, that pop up for the MFA code, and you will have to log in, right? So that's how you made your AWS account secure, right? So even if you lose your laptop, let's say that no one can hack into your AWS account because you have the phone and MFA code is with you, so no one can hack. That's what the concept of MFA, right? Multi-factor authentication, right? Perfect. Anyone can hack into your AWS account also, right? Even if it tries to hack, they need to hack your phone also. So you just made sure that you have your root account is secure, right? Perfect. That's the first thing you did, right? I hope everyone has done that. Yes? Or shall I wait for a minute?
Done.
Good, Trisha. Okay. Second thing which I want you to do, right? Let's, because you don't want. Okay, I'm going to ask you this question. Like I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you this: do you want to get notified when you exceed a particular cost budget? Like whenever you spend some amount, let's say you can mention that whenever you spend 50 cents or $1, right, in your AWS account, but for any region, you want to get yourself notified, yes or no, so that you can track the budget or to
Yes.
track the cost usage. Do you want to do that, everyone? So, right. What we're going to do, we're going to go to the billing dashboard, right? The second option is the billing dashboard. We're going to click on the same place, your root user account, and we're going to go to the billing dashboard, right? I went here, billing dashboard, and I'm going to set up a cost budget, right? And let's say think from an organization point of view, right? So let's say you are going to set up a company and you're gonna employ a lot of people, and you will be providing AWS account credentials to a lot of them, right? I'm going to talk about that. How do we create users and things like that? But anyway, whoever is using it, you want to get yourself notified if you exceed a particular budget, right? That's how it is. So for that, you have a billing section. Either you go from billing dashboard, or you can simply type billing at this place. Billing. Both will both places you land up at the same place, right? Type of billing, you will also land up at the same place, right? Once you are here, right, you can click on the budgets option, budget, right? But the budget, everything cost related thing, you can come here. You can see my expenses for this current month. I have been practicing something, so I've been using some Kubernetes cluster, spinning up some Kubernetes cluster. Kubernetes cluster is not free, so there are some bills for that, but not much, right? Not that alarming, right? So yeah, because I was able to manage with. I'll talk about that. How do you make sure that you don't get unnecessary bills, right? Right. So you go to the first. Let's set up this budget. You go to the budget section here. Click on the budgets, right? And you can select. There are a lot of options in the budget, right? I have already created a budget, right? Already exceeded because the budget amount which I was set was quite less, right? So that's why you see this 175%. Well, $1 only I set as the cost budget. If I would have set $10, I would not have got this. It depends on how much budget, like total cost you're setting this budget, right? Based on that, you get the alarm. Okay, I can just delete this. Okay, now just to have the same page as you, you can delete this. So this is what your page would look like currently. You can create a budget, right? You can go by cost budget, usage budget, savings plan budget, reservation budget. You can go with many budget option. Currently, I'm looking for a cost budget because I want to get notified when I exceed a particular threshold, right? That's what I intend to set right now. So I can go to the cost budget. I can select next, right? And I can look at the cost. So they are giving me a beautiful thing how my cost have been over a last quite a year now. 1 year they are giving me that mostly I have been $4 I have spent, right? Once in March I have spent $4 monthly. That has been my max because I'm using this. It's not my free tier. I'm paying some monthly bill. So $4 has been my monthly most of the bill, right? That's fine. So I can also see in the Cost Explorer, there is one service. I'll talk about that later, but just a brief, you will not see that because if you have created this account recently, you will not see that, right? So how to set your budget? I can come down, I can type a budget name. I can simply cancel this, right? Uh, Click on that. I can type a budget name, budget. Okay, simply any name I can type budget, uh, June 2022, whatever name you feel like. Set budget amount monthly. Yeah, I want to set monthly. Let's start month June. Yeah, I want to create a fixed budget. Yeah, I want to get a fixed budget. Last month cost they're telling it's 1.76. Whatever you feel like, $1. If I said $1, I will get the notification that I have exceeded the budget. It all depends. You can just put $1 for now because you would not you already have a free tier, right? So you will not be getting billed, right? Anyway, so you put $1. And you can all AWS services, yeah, recommended. Unblended, you're not gonna get the blending cost. Like it's gonna give you the blend. You have three things: blended cost, unblended cost. So it's gonna give you the raw bills, unblended cost. So just put that unblended cost and click on next, right? And this is where you need to set the alert. $1 is what I have told. I have that $1 in my pocket. Maximum $1 I can spend in a month. That's what it means. $1 is my budget. If you have a company, maybe $10,000, $5,000, whatever you feel like, whatever you think a budget should be, or when you want to get notified You can set it up. So I can add a threshold, right? You can add multiple thresholds also. I can add a threshold, 50%. So 50% of the budgeted amount, right? Actual trigger the bill, trigger, trigger, right? So 50 cents, whenever I will have the 50 cents as the bill, right, I will get a notification. I can write the email address here where I want to get notification. I can write the email address and I would get notified here, right? I would get notified that yes, I have been $50 is showing up. What you spent 50 cents, sorry, 50 cents, 50%. I can add one more threshold on 80%. Whatever you feel like the way you want it, 80% also you won't feel like. So whenever 80 cents it will spend, I will get one more email, right? So you can configure it like that, right? So that you would know, okay, fine. So there are some SNS simple notification service. I will talk about it. So you can use AWS service. There is a service called SNS, simple notification service. You can use SNS to send the the notifications. I'll come to this later. SNS. Click on next, right? You can just click on next, and yeah, this is what it looks like. Okay, next. I can just click on create budget. So that's what I created the budget, guys. My budget has been set. So this one exceeded for me because I've already built so much. So obviously it also exceeded, right? Right. I just want to, because I don't want to receive emails, right? I want to just delete this. You don't delete it, guys. Anyway, I can leave it. My always target is to bill less. But yeah, that's where it is. Okay, so that's the first thing to create the budget. One more thing you should do, come to the billing preferences and check these boxes. Receive PDF invoices by email, right? Receive free, because since you guys would be in the free tier, so receive free tier usage alerts. You can please check this box, provide your email address, and receive billing alerts. You check these boxes, save preferences, right? Check these three options and save preferences. That's what you should do now, right? So that's what you should do. You'll be always notified now, right? Yeah. So that's all I wanted to cover today. Tomorrow I will talk about IAM, one of the service where we create users. I will talk about IAM user. I will make sure that you have the. I got one alert, guys. Just now I got one alert. I don't know what. That's why I don't know to set that, because I just set it at $1, right? I can just show you that I got the alert. See this first. I got this. June 22 has exceeded your threshold. See, this is the alert notification. I got it. Similar kind of alert, you will see this. Okay. Anyway, tomorrow I'm going to talk about IAM. How do we create users? Because you own a company and you're going to recruit people and you want to give them cloud access, right? How do you do that? How do you make sure you have enough policies, permissions? They should have least privilege principle. They should not have in more policies, like permissions, right? How do you restrict the access? We'll talk about these things. IAM tomorrow. What is IAM first of all? Identity and access management. So we'll talk about this service. First service that we're going to talk in detail is IAM tomorrow. Right. Right. So that's all for today, guys. Do you have any questions for me before we wind up?
Nope, we're good.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, guys. So thank you so much. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.